Gettysburg Museum of History Studios.
You're listening to Addressing Gettysburg.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this special episode of Addressing Gettysburg today. And we are talking once again to our friend Jason Marks from, I said Marks. Martz is what I meant to say. I was just listening to Richard Marx, and it got me thinking. Anyway.
Who doesn't listen to Richard Marx?
Lots of people.
Right.
Yeah. Where's he been in all these years? You're from Gettysburg National Military Park. You are the information connoisseur, I believe.
Yeah, let's go
yes,
with that.
Okay.
Yep.
And we didn't do one in November. We had to reschedule.
We had to reschedule because somebody was ill.
Was that you or me?
It was you.
It was me.
You were.
That's when I couldn't talk.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. It's like I was just telling you, the greatest 4 days of my girlfriend's life.
And your viewers.
Yeah. Exactly. All right, Jason. I like how with every appearance on the show, you are more loose with your zingers, you know, and that makes it fun. And people like that when you come on. Well, just so you know, keep it up and let it grow.
I enjoy a good zinger.
So do I. All right.
Twinkies, too.
Lots of things happened. Lots of things have happened that we need to talk about. One of them, of course, is probably what's most fresh on everybody's mind and the tips of their tongues is the Licensed Battlefield Guide exam. First one given since 2017. Lots of people anticipating this moment. It happened on Saturday. What have you got for us?
Well, I think my reporting is actually more on questions for you guys. That
oh, really?
That what did you guys think? How did you study compared to what was actually on the test? Were you ready? Was the breadth of the? I'm getting laughter from
the peanut gallery.
The peanut gallery over here.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason, I guess, why it's been called one of the hardest tests out there
in history.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Before we answer your questions, I want to ask you a couple of statistical questions, if I may. How many people signed up? How many people showed up?
158 signed up.
Okay.
143 took the test.
Oh, okay. So that's
15.
Yeah, thank you. I think I was hearing that day there was 152 that showed up. So it was actually in the end it was 143, you said?
Correct.
And that's actually not that bad, is it? Like typically?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know if there is a what is typical for LBG exams.
Well, I know one of my friends didn't come out, and I haven't talked to him yet. But there were other faces that I was expecting to see that I didn't see, and I hope everybody's okay. I hope it's not for bad reasons that they didn't come, and it was just, forget it, whatever. Okay, so when do they send the results out or let everybody know?
I don't think there's actually a firm date set.
Okay.
It's going to obviously take a while to get through that many exams.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking the rough dates would be like January, February.
Okay. So early winter.
First couple months.
Or early part of the year.
First couple months of 25.
And are there psychologists on hand for when people get the bad news?
I think we're going to be able to set up a 1-800 number.
We should do that, you know. Okay, so I'll answer your question, and then we'll go in the back because we have Debbie Jones back there and 6 questions lengths also. So I'll tell you this: did I study? Was the question? What are the questions again?
Well, it's just random.
Okay.
How did you guys feel? Was the studying that you did? Did it fit the questions? Were you way off? Were the questions surprising? Okay. What got to you guys that created? Kind of that oh no.
Yeah.
oh no.
Exactly.
Moment.
All right. I'll tell you my story there. I did not. So what I told CBS was I started this podcast to study for the guide exam.
Yes.
But I didn't expect that people would like it and it would turn into a business. I wanted it to. I had a plan for it to, but I had a plan for 3 other podcasts prior to this to do that, right? So I didn't expect it to actually work. And it did. And then it became about doing the shows. And in other words, I had to keep the balls in the air.
Right.
And I knew when you guys announced that you're going to be given the test, I knew I wouldn't be able to, quote, properly study, right?
Life.
Yeah.
Life.
Basically. And ADD. But I said, well, I don't know what to study. Study everything. Okay, but everything from when to where and what do I want to focus on here and there and everything. I said, you know what? I've been around this. I've been reading about this. I've been doing this show for 30 years. Not the show, but I've been doing all these things for 30 years. If something didn't sink in through osmosis, then no studying a year out is going to help me. So I need to know, the way I work is I need to know what it's like first. If you're not going to tell me, like if I'm not going to take a class. So I said, I signed up for it to see what it was like, knowing full well I was not going to make it. Okay. And I did not disappoint. I went in there and I was like, I actually started laughing at one point, probably an hour in, because there were, there was a question we got. I don't remember the question. There was a question and I go, oh, we just did a show about that this year. And I stared at the ceiling and I couldn't remember the answer. Mm-hmm. And that happened 3 more times. And by the 4th time, I started laughing because I remembered, and I mean like audibly laughing, not like ha ha ha, big, but like, like what you just did, right?
Yeah.
And I remember, because I was remembering going in there when we were waiting outside in the morning. I don't know, 8 people, 10 people, something like that came up to me and they were like, just wanted to thank you for doing the show and really helped me study for this. And thanks for doing the shows about taking the exam and all that. And, blah, blah. And so, okay, great. Good for you. Thank you. And then I get in there and I start laughing because it dawned on me that the people that listen to the show to study probably are going to do better than I did, the guy who made the show, because I can't remember anything that we do. And so I started laughing at the irony of that whole thing, right? So I then said, you know what, let's just have fun with this. I'm going to have fun with this. I'm going to see what I could do. I noticed that in my mind, every general's name was James or John.
Sure.
And what else? I was actually surprised. Okay, now I'm sure you or whoever, especially people who put the test together, are going to contest this. But in my mind, and I admit this is just my perception, in my mind, 2/3 of the test wasn't about the battle, and 1/3 was. And even the part that was about the battle seemed to be not very much about the battle. And I was like, wow, I am really shocked at how little of this is about the battle. Now, I'm sure if it's broken up into 8 parts, everybody's going to say it was equally an eighth, an eighth, an eighth, an eighth. But in my perception, that's what it was. And I found out at lunch when we went outside and everybody looks like they just watched their entire family get eaten by wolves. I was like, what happened? What'd you think? And everybody said that they had the same perception. And I even said 2/3. They go, yeah, that's what it seemed like. But I know it can't be that was the way it was. But that's just the way it seemed. I was, I would say, wholly unprepared for that. But I knew that. I knew that going in. It wasn't on purpose that I didn't prepare. I just couldn't. But I had fun taking it. And now I have a better idea of what to expect next time. The essays, again, the closest thing to being about the battle would have been the Gettysburg Address question, only because that happened a few months after the battle. But all the other ones, I'm like, who is ever going to ask me this? Especially the one about what the name of the legislation was that made relic hunting illegal. Do you know that?
Not off the top of my head, no.
No. So let's go to the back now and see what the peanut gallery says. Debbie Jones, what were your, don't forget, we're doing a show about this right after this, so don't give everything away.
Right. I did.
Put your camera on, Debbie. Go ahead. Put your camera. Oh, no, don't do it because it's going to screw up the
right.
thing. Yeah.
That's why
okay.
I haven't. I did spend a fair amount of time studying, and yet
the nation knows.
Yeah, thank you. And yet, it was so funny because that first page, I was like, great, I know all the answers on the first page. And I flipped the second page and there's like one that I'm not totally sure of. And I went, uh-oh. By the time we were halfway through, I was like, I'm done. Like, I'm screwed.
Halfway through the open-ended?
Yeah.
Okay. Fill in the blank.
The fill in the blank, yeah. There was way more artillery on there than I expected. And that was one of the things that I think is going to screw me over.
It was one thing to be able to say Stevens battery, but to remember what his unit designation was, that was tough. Yeah.
Uh-huh. So, and there were a lot of little things like, I think I have no problem with the test being hard.
Right.
This is a very complex battle, so it makes sense. But like you, there were a number of questions that I was like, who in the world is ever going to ask me this?
Now,
no one.
Right. And I understand, you want well-rounded knowledge, right? You want people to really understand the whole war and how Gettysburg fits into it. Yeah. But again, I'm thinking, and then I was remembering back to the shows we did with the guides about how to prepare for it. Mm-hmm. And the message I kind of gleaned from them, although I don't think anybody said this outright, but the message I got was that the test isn't necessarily to see what kind of a good or how good a guide you're going to be.
Yeah.
It's to just get your knowledge. And I would imagine that they would want people who have a wide breadth of knowledge about the Civil War and Gettysburg and all that other stuff.
And I think that by the time I was done with the fill in the blank portion, I have, especially as I've thought about it later, I realized that now I understand the depth that they're looking for.
Right.
So even if I don't make it this time, and there's a really good chance I won't, now I have a base to work off of.
Yeah.
I do think I did better on the essays than I did on the fill in the blank.
Okay. Why? Which essay did you choose?
I chose the one about the Soldiers' National Monument, and I chose the one about the Lost Cause.
Okay.
I think I did better with the Lost Cause one than I did the Soldiers' National Monument.
Yeah.
But and apparently my dad and my sister were talking separately about it, and they were like, I bet her essays put her back into the range of passing, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know.
Maybe.
But we'll see.
Yeah.
It's on Saturday I was feeling like crap. Today I've got a little better perspective.
So
back on it.
Was it because your hopes were high and then it kind of shook your confidence?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's that happens to the best of us. How about you? 6 questions.
I think a lot of time spent years studying for this exam.
Yeah.
A lot of what people were talking about this and how they really built it up really made it into a big old scary monster. Now, don't get me wrong, it's still a beast of a test.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong about that. But it's not impossible. It's not insurmountable.
No, it isn't.
And the reality was, I think I felt like Scales' brigade. I got tired of artillery after a while. And so what happened was, I think you had, I say 45% was about the battle, maybe everything else after that. That would be my proportion.
Do you know, Jason, how they broke it up? No.
Yeah, I think, honestly, coming out of it, I felt like stepping out of the building and going, what the F was that?
Yeah, well, a lot of people did.
Yes. And I think, I felt awful after.
Did you really?
I felt physically, emotionally, mentally awful.
Yeah, you were like ashen looking.
Yeah.
You did, yeah. I remember the look. You kind of looked me in the eye. And it was like out of a movie. Like you just gave me this look in the eye, and I was like, almost like as if to say someone's behind you. Like it was just this really like terrified, shaken look. Mm-hmm. And I asked you, how do you think you did? And when you shook your head, I was like, oh my God, if Mike is feeling that way, then we're all doomed. But I must say though, what made me feel good was that all the things that I was completely lost on, almost everybody I talked to was also lost on.
Yes.
So
yes.
I'm like, okay, and those are the people that prepared. Yeah.
So yeah, that's the thing. when, taking away the emotional side of it, right?
Yeah.
And taking some time with it, sitting with it for a while, I did okay. I did pretty good. I mean, I did my best. I did pretty good.
Sure you did.
And so, it's one of those things where it's a toss-up whether I got through or not.
Right.
But here's the bigger picture. Here's the big thing. Building up to this, having never taken this test before, it was this big, scary monster.
Mm-hmm.
The thing I would tell people is this: you don't know what you're facing until you're in that chair.
Correct.
And
you know what I found is, even though we didn't take, well, I mean, the guides offered the academy in it, but it's not really for the test, right?
Yeah.
But we didn't take a class. Like, we weren't all classmates.
Mm-hmm.
But it felt like we were. Like, there was a familiarity people had with each other.
Yeah.
It just, even people that I hadn't met, we would talk to each other, and we were all in the same boat. And I think everybody was just as nervous. And I wasn't nervous because I had no intention I had no hope of passing this thing. So I'm like, oh, this is just going to be fun to see what I know, right? Which is nothing. And it was fun. I felt it was fun.
Exactly.
Now there was
looking back on it,
there was one guy in my room who was like through the whole thing. And I just wanted to go give him a little shoulder rub and be like, it's gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right. Just relax. But yeah, no, it was cool.
It was fun. It was good. It was fun to do. Looking back on it.
Yeah.
At the time, I felt like I hit by a history Mack truck, but I mean, it was fun to do. I enjoyed it. So yeah.
Now, so that's what we think, Jason. That's what we think. What do you think about that?
No, I think I'm just curious to see how everyone, and then by everyone, the three of you at least, that, what was your impression? How do you think you did? What was the expectation going in? What was the realization coming out?
Yeah.
Things like that. Just generalizations.
Yeah, I remember afterwards I called Cindy and I said the exam's over, and she's like, how do you think you did? Actually, no, it was during lunch. I texted her and I said, all right, first part of the exam is over. Hoofa. And then she said, really? And I said, yeah. And I said, well, maybe the essays will be a little better. And then afterwards I called her and I said, yeah, I won't be a guest on my own show anytime soon.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. But it was fun. And then we had our Christmas party afterwards, and a lot of people were there who took the exam. And one was from California and another from Washington State. People came from across the country.
They did.
Another one from Georgia. So like there were people that took this really seriously, and they came from far and wide to take it. And but everybody needed a drink at the party.
Yep.
A double. Everybody just said, make it a double. Even the guy that ordered a Diet Coke, he was just like, make it a double. So yeah, it was a good experience. And I don't know how many people who did it like a crazy man like me and paid the money just to see, and I'm not rich by any means. So, but I was like, well, this is money to fork over because who knows how long I'm going to have to wait for the next one. So I might as well, I just needed a preview, Mm-hmm. And I always said it won't be till after I'm 50 before I ever get a license. Okay. So we'll see. All right. Well, what else have we got here? Winter lectures.
Yeah,
the
winter lectures schedule came out about a week or so ago, and pretty excited about those. I know that a lot of folks kind of dial those in come winter, kind of the doldrums of winter, and kind of look forward to those. And
they're a lot of fun.
But they're a lot of fun, and they are much broader than just Gettysburg and just Civil War.
Yeah,
they go into a lot of different topics, kind of going outside the box a little bit, going over to Eisenhower, talking about the Battle of the Bulge. There's a conversation with Frederick Douglass and the other gentleman, I can't remember.
Yeah, I saw that. And there's also a musical performance.
There's also a music performance.
I like that you guys are getting into show business. You know what I mean? Like, because I think that you have to mix entertainment with your history. And I think this is great.
Well, we're kind of following in your footsteps, really.
Thank you, Jason. I didn't want to be the one to say it.
Entertainment.
Edutainment.
Edutainment, yeah. Mm-hmm. There's one on artillery.
Irony.
Principles of Civil War Artillery on Sunday, January 19th.
That's good. I would say if you look at even the previous seasons of winter lectures and this one coming up, that if you do want to take the exam, if you don't think you did well, you might want to pay attention to these lectures a little closer, because a lot of them are about things that aren't about the battle, like you said, and some of them are things that might be touched on in an exam. Yeah. So
the conversation here is first person interpretation with Frederick Douglass and John Brown. So that's a new one.
That's going to be a show of wild hair.
Indeed.
Yes.
There's one about Civil War food.
Oh yeah, who's doing that?
Barb Sanders is doing that one.
Is she going to cook? Like a cooking show, like Rachel Ray?
It could happen.
I think she should do it that way.
I'm going to go with no.
Oh, damn.
I'm going to go with no, but
how about no, Scott?
No. Marching Still, a musical tribute to Civil War poetry. That's the music one that you're talking about.
Who's doing that?
Let's see. Outsider. His name is Ryan, and I apologize if I get this all messed up. Masilak.
Okay.
Masilak. Masilak. So he will be the one in charge of that one.
All right.
Yeah.
So those begin, what was it, to the 5th?
We are starting January 4th.
4th.
Saturday, January 4th through Sunday, February 23.
Not into March this year.
The weather dates.
Yes.
If we have inclement weather and we need to cancel it or postpone it, we do have 2 extra days. The first weekend in March.
And there won't be one on Super Bowl Sunday again?
No, I think there is.
Oh.
I think there is, and it just isn't, we just went ahead with it. And
just football in the Civil War?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Good. All right. And what was the other thing here? Oh, and then along with that are the children's programs that Barb is doing.
Yes.
Right. Barb and John.
And
those are before the lectures, the winter
correct.
lectures.
Yeah, they are in the mornings before. Let me find that one real quick here. Yeah, they're called the Family Reading Adventures, and there's 2 different ones. One is in January, Saturdays only.
Okay.
And these start at 11 and go for about an hour. But it's not just a book and kind of reading through a book and putting each of the pages up on the screen there in the theaters, but they also do an activity afterwards.
Okay.
So it all ties in with the topic of the book and the theme of the book and what was going on. So there's either something right there in the museum and visitor center. There might be something out on the battlefield that the parents and the children can go out and do afterwards. Maybe it's something that they take home with them. I always, because, sometimes going in for the lecture, they're still kind of wrapping up. And I'm always like, man, they look like they have so much fun. Yeah. Like, why don't they do that for the adults? Maybe we should. They should do playing games and stuff. Maybe that's the next iteration of the winter lectures is let's all sit around on the floor
shake
of the
toy
theater
tambourines
and do tambourines and kumbaya and so on.
No. But like, actually John Hoptack does a kind of a grown-up version of that, or did. I'm sure he employs it for other reasons or other topics. But when he did, it was Adams County or South Central Pennsylvania men who joined the 54th Massachusetts. I believe there were 118 of them, and as luck would have it, that day there were 118 people in the audience. So everybody got a piece of paper, and it had the guy's information, and he would ask us questions, and we'd read off the information about them and stuff. And I could just tell, like, people love that, because it kind of brings you back to being a kid, and it makes it fun. And I think, or like when I've seen Matt Atkinson do this on a battle walk, is he'll take people out of the crowd and they'll each represent a brigade and he'll move them around. It's fun. It makes it easy to understand, lightens it up, and it makes it feel less like school.
Well, John did a similar program on one of his July 2nd anniversary battle walks this past summer. And the topic escapes me, but it was in and around the wheat field.
Okay.
And what he did is he handed out, along with our interns, they helped hand out these papers. And each paper had a soldier's name on it. And there were hundreds of people, of course, on the battle walk. I don't think there were quite as many on the battle walk as the regiment or the total number of what he was representing.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end, he said, at each phase of our program today, we would have walked in the footsteps of everyone that you hold in your hand, and they all died. And they all passed.
And that's got to get you.
So this little piece of paper then weighs
yes.
1,000 pounds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, it's very effective when they do that. And I've seen when I had Getty's bike, Bob Steenstra, when we would take there was a group from Virginia, the Journey Through Hallowed Ground, and there was like a summer camp for the kids, and they would come up a couple times a year, and we'd take them out all day long, and they'd all get this piece of paper with a name, and depending on what county in Virginia they were from, he would get men from one of the companies that were from there in Pickett's charge, and we'd get to the angle, and he'd make everybody stand, everybody was standing, he'd make everybody sit. And then he'd say to the kids who were standing, okay, now look around. Everybody sitting didn't go home after the Battle of Gettysburg. And there's like 3 kids standing or something like that. And you could see these kids who were exhausted. All they wanted to do was get back on the bus and go home. Like they kind of just like lit up, and not lit up in a good way, but like, holy crap, right. All my friends are gone. So it is a very effective thing to do. Okay.
So there are for the children reading adventures, there's actually 2 versions of it. One in January, and that one is for the slightly younger crowd.
Okay.
Ages 4 to 9, 4 to 10, something like that. And then the second one is in February, and it's called the Time Travelers Reading Adventure Club. And this is for a little older, 9 to 14.
Okay.
Where they're going to be reading some, a little bit more older, more mature books, but still within that age range.
And for the parents out there who don't know Barb, she's very sweet and she's very great with the kids, and John too. But John, you might have seen more. Barb's not always out there as much. I mean, there's videos of her on the Parks YouTube channel that you can see, but she's fantastic with the kids. She loves that.
It is. If ever there was a person who was meant to do a job, it is Barb Sanders.
It's Barb, yeah, absolutely.
She is absolutely amazing with kids, and bringing education and history together in a way that allows the kids to enjoy learning, which is fantastic, which is what we really need, because we don't want these stories to die.
No, absolutely
This is the best way to get to them, and she's amazing. John's fantastic, and the team that they have being organized, that Chris has organized with the help of Barb and John, is just taken off, and it's really it's important. Yeah, it's very important.
I always say this, and not at the expense of any other park out there, but I just think we have like the greatest interpretive staff here, because everybody has their own different personality, but they're all fantastic, and to me they're all engaging and very interesting to listen to. And if you haven't been to a winter lecture this year, especially if you haven't come and brought the kids, you might want to try this year. Like, make a day of it. If you're close by, like, what are you doing in the winter on a Saturday, right? Or a Sunday? Come in and start in the morning, do the kids program, and then you make the kids sit through your program. It'll be fun.
Yeah, everybody wins.
Yeah. Or you could pick the ones like the one with the music or something. Pick that so that there's something to entertain the kids even in the afternoon. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And then it's also really good to go to Montezuma's for lunch afterwards. That's what we always do.
Oh, there's plenty of restaurants to enjoy here in downtown Gettysburg.
There are tons, but I recommend Mexican.
You're a Mexican fan?
Well, after the lecture, for some reason, it's like a tradition.
It's your thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
Right on.
It's delicious, though. All right. And then finally, Jason, well, we've all heard of a Gettysburg Christmas by Bo Brinkman, but have you heard of an Eisenhower Christmas by Gettysburg National Military Park in the Eisenhower Historical Site? Is it?
Eisenhower National Historic Site.
National Historical Site. Thank you.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The home of Dwight and Mamie Eisenhower is decorated for Christmas every year. Mamie was a big fan of decorations and Christmas and everything that that holiday season would bring, with all the family coming in, all of the get-togethers and dinners and celebrations and everything having to do with Christmas. Mamie was all about it.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that was missing was Pink.
The singer?
Mamie Pink didn't quite make the appearance during Christmas, but zing.
Yeah.
So those are the days that the house is going to be open for the month of December is from Friday, December 6th, and this is just Fridays and Saturdays only. Fridays and Saturdays only. Friday, December 6th through Saturday, December 21st. And the hours are from 11 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. Friday, Saturday between December 6th and 21. And remember, because you can now drive directly over there and you don't have to worry about planning out your entire day around the old shuttle bus system, you can just drive over, park the car, walk up to the front door of the house, and queue up from there. It's that simple. The house holds, I believe, 40. That's fire code. And as people come out, people go in. And
the occupancy is 40.
Yeah,
okay.
the occupancy limit, I believe, is 40.
Yeah. I thought you were saying household.
No.
And I was like, that doesn't make any sense. It's much older than 40.
Yes.
Okay. Now, the lobby of the visitor center often has some of their decorations as well. Are they still going to have that this year?
Yep, they're already out.
Oh, they already are out. Okay,
yep,
good.
Those are out. It is the, what is the term?
I don't know. Debbie, Mike, anybody?
It is,
the apotheosis of Washington? The apothecary of Washington. What are those things called in the it's like...
They're shadow boxes.
Yeah.
They're shadow boxes with different scenes in them.
Nativity?
That's the
oh,
word.
yeah. Oh, that's what you were looking for. Oh. I thought...
Yeah, I don't know where you were going.
I don't know.
I don't know where you were
I thought
going.
you were talking about the name of the boxes.
Nativity scenes.
Nativity scenes.
They're shadow boxes of nativity scenes.
Right.
And those were actually displayed in the house. Unfortunately, there's no room to put them in the house with the restrictions, of course, with visitors being able to take a different path through. If they were able to just walk around the entire living room and the entire dining room, they'd be able to be displayed. But because of the restrictions,
right?
So that's why they're over in the lobby of the visitor center.
Now, when the Eisenhowers had them, were they in the boxes, or is that something that the Park Service built to protect them?
No. These are meant to be.
So they were
in these big shadow boxes. With the different nativity scenes. And that's how they were displayed then. That's how they're displayed now.
Oh, that's cool. Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't
So
realize
that is something that you can see in addition to the Eisenhower Spotlight exhibit over by the bookstore that's in the Museum and Visitor Center as well. So there's a fair amount of different items Eisenhower related in the different lobbies of the Museum and Visitor Center.
Anybody who's ever heard this show knows that I hate winter. But ever since I started going to the lectures, I don't hate it as much. And I'll tell you why.
Look at you.
There's something to do. It's something to do, number one, right? Mm-hmm. It's educational. So you come out a little more smarter than when you went in. And also, if you go regularly, you find that there are other people who go regularly, and then eventually you start getting to talking to people, and you make some acquaintances. And again, it kind of feels like coming back to school after summer break, with your class, and you see each other again, and you see who suddenly is starting to sprout a mustache or whatever, and or lose their hair, or at our ages, I guess. But it's a lot of fun. And if you also winter, we always say this too, if you really want to study the battlefield, winter is a great time to come.
It is.
Because you can see the lay of the land. There's no crops. There's no leaves on the trees. You can see the undulation of the ground. And that's very important to understanding troop movements and placements and stuff. And again, you kind of get the town to yourself a little bit because not everybody's here. Now, of course, you say this and everybody comes, then we ruin that. But it's still really nice to come out here in the winter and to visit the visitor center. You can take the time to go through the museum because it'll be probably cold outside. Who wants to do that? So you go through the museum and you take your time with it. A lot to do, a lot to see. Just because it's freezing cold and windy outside doesn't mean there's nothing to do here in Gettysburg at the visitor center, in the park, and in the town.
Yeah, these interpretive programs for the Rangers as well, it really gives them an opportunity to talk about some of their other maybe pet projects that are off on the side that maybe don't necessarily quite fit into a neat package that is the Battle of Gettysburg.
Right.
They can talk about other things. There's another one here about the Battle of Mine Run, for instance. So it really gives folks an opportunity to step out of the lane that they are kind of have to stay in for obvious reasons. Gettysburg.
Right.
And do something else.
Scott Hartwig said early on, he was one of the first interviews I did when I started this, and he said that that Gettysburg, the Battle of Gettysburg is the gateway drug to the Civil War.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah. And then when I was doing a video for the Trust about the movie, I stole from him and I said that the Battle of Gettysburg is the gateway drug to the Civil War, but the movie is the gateway drug to the Civil War. It's a lot of gateway drugs. A couple of gates to go through. But why did I go through that? There was a point to that.
Different programs.
Oh, yeah.
Different
Thank you.
programs,
Yeah. It's a great springboard, and we kind of take that model. With our free content is about the battle, but if you join Patreon, then that's what we do. Is we use Gettysburg to jump off into other arenas of the Civil War, and it's very or areas of the Civil War, and it's very enlightening. Clearly, not enlightening enough for me to pass the exam, but for other people, it might be.
Next time.
Last year, what I thought was most interesting, and I don't know if everybody else did, but I actually enjoyed the biology on the battlefield or in the park. One that Chris Davis, yeah. Okay, I got it right.
Yep.
Chris Davis did, and that's what I like about the winter lectures is like you get a little bit of everything, and it's definitely worth going to. I can't oversell it enough. It's really good.
On that note, just a quick aside. The last time I was in here a couple months back, I gave a pronouncement that there was something new on the battlefield that we had just found. Do you remember what that was?
Did you tell me what it was?
I did. You even looked it up on your fancy computer here in front of you.
Really? It's just a regular old laptop.
Yeah.
No. Refresh my memory.
Yeah, there was a brand new invasive species.
Oh, yes.
Of plant.
The 8-inch a day one or whatever. Yeah.
It's I don't remember the name of it. You'll have to go back and watch that previous episode. But since then, I've also learned that there's another new thing
Good.
in Gettysburg.
Okay.
Right up there with that invasive species of plant. Guess what, guys?
What?
We have a new species of tick.
Oh, God. Now, wait,
That's what we needed.
Is this a Lyme's disease carrying tick?
Yes.
It is.
It is. It's apparent, and I don't remember which
Thanks,
version,
beavers.
which beavers. Yeah, right. Yeah, because that's why.
You created a habitat for them beavers.
That's why. Apparently, this one has come up from the Gulf Coast.
Oh, thanks, Gulf Coasters.
And it's just gotten warm enough that they continue to spread year after year.
We need another ice age.
And they're now here.
So what are we looking for? Are they smaller, bigger than a deer tick, or same size, or what's the
I
deal?
can't remember which species it is, but I did look through. There's a really good website or organization out there called the Pennsylvania Tick
Society?
No.
Alliance?
Maybe. Yeah, maybe Alliance.
Or Awareness Alliance, maybe?
But they have a fantastic website that lists all of the different ticks that are in and around not just Pennsylvania, but across the country.
Pennsylvania Tick Research Lab.
There it is. Thank
Close,
you.
close to Alliance.
Thank you. And
Thank you, Debbie.
You're welcome.
there are a listing of all of the different ones that could be here in the United States. And there's only one or two that haven't made it here yet.
God.
So we're ticking up.
Oh, God. Here we go with the puns again. It's about this time in the show he always starts pulling out the puns.
So yeah, that's another happy thing to be.
Well, that just really ticks me off.
It does,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Both
You're
cut
late.
off.
You're late to the game.
I know.
man.
I should have
Yeah.
beat you to that one.
Yeah.
Somebody had a question here that I wanted to ask you. Oh yeah, I wrote it down. Okay, it's the end of the year. Looking back, what would you say is the, I don't know, anything, event, job, whatever, that the Park Service did in 2024 that you're most proud of or you think is, the crown jewel for the year of 2024?
I think you have to look at Little Round Top.
Yeah. Oh, wait, they said besides Little Round Top.
Oh, besides Little Round Top.
Yeah.
Next in line might be World War II weekend.
Very successful.
Very successful.
Yes.
Very successful. We've been running, and by we I mean the staff at Eisenhower, have been doing an amazing job of turning that event into just what would have been a showpiece for every piece of equipment under the sun.
Yeah.
That was World War II era, and turning it into a learning opportunity for the public and for all of the reenactors and all the living historians that come in addition to family activities, tours of the camp, which never happened before, which can't believe is one of those things that, how did this not happen before? Right. But the public loves it. The living historians love it. Bringing in authors to talk about different topics concerning World War II. It just keeps getting better each year. There was a clean break at COVID during the pandemic. Right. And when we came back, when the first one after the pandemic, we started to institute these thematic per year. What's going on in 1942? What's going on in 1943? This year was 1944. And so those are the things that we've been able to work with the living history crowd. And they have, once they kind of turned towards this new model, they're loving it too. So everybody, and I mean everybody, wins during World War II weekend. It is amazing. If you haven't been to that yet, right? That's another thing.
This was my first one this year, and I went on Sunday, which I think it was raining a little bit. Did it rain on Saturday or Sunday?
I think Sunday.
Sunday, right. So I was there Sunday morning. It was a little drizzly when I was there. But it was late Sunday morning, so I was just assuming that between the drizzle and the fact that people got to work on Monday, that a lot of people weren't there but there was still a good number of people there, and it looked really cool. And I was like, next year I have to make a point to go on Saturday because I never have before at all, Saturday or Sunday. So this time it was really good. But I thought what was cool was the guys were playing baseball, and I don't know, it reminded me of that the last scene in Band of Brothers when they're all playing baseball. And stuff. So I just thought it was really, really neat. And also, for the most part, the reenactors were about the age that the soldiers would have been, which is a departure from the Civil War reenacting world. So that was cool too. There was something else I wanted to ask you before we left, and it totally slipped my mind. I should have written it down because it was a good one. It was a really good one. But in the meantime, Grant says, Jason is good on the show for park updates.
Thank you.
He doesn't just talk in government speak.
Yeah.
That's a plus.
I talk in government speak 8 hours a day. I don't need to.
You don't need to do it
I don't need to do it outside the office. No, sir.
One thing I meant to ask before we were talking about the guide exam, and this isn't the question I forgot, but the number, I had asked you this while we were there, that the number of licenses that they need filled we don't have a number for that. You don't have a number. You don't really have a. Is it that they don't have an idea, or they have an idea but they want to see, or there's no.
First and foremost, you got to pass the test, and then go from there.
Right. Okay.
And that's kind of the line in the sand. Now, what is pass the test? That depends on the responses of those who take it.
Yeah.
There could be 50 who pass that first.
Right.
There could be 10.
I'm hoping that the highest score is a 40 and they base the curve on that, and then I'll probably do well with the 20% that I got.
Well, good for you. I know. Keep your head up, Matt. Keep your head up. We're all rooting for you, buddy.
My 20 won't be so bad. It's still a failing grade. It's 50%. So, but whatever. Damn, I wish I could remember that last thing I wanted to ask you, because it was actually good. I thought in my head it seemed good. In my head it seemed good, Jason. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Next time. Again, next time.
Oh, no, it wasn't a question. It was just something. You're talking about the World War II weekend, right? And then, that got me thinking about the exam and how, wide a scope the exam covered. And there's a lot of things that go into this thought. I don't need to go into them all because it will be here forever, but there's a lot of different things that have happened since the opening of the new visitor center that are finally starting to sink in with me, that it feels like, and I don't think this is a bad thing, that, how they always say that, if somebody's going to visit a Civil War site, it's most likely going to be here.
Yeah.
And so therefore we kind of have to give them a little more than just the battle. Mm-hmm. And obviously the start of that, to my recollection, was the gallery at the new museum, the new visitor center. It, basically starts from Genesis all the way up to, post-war, right? 20th century, actually. And one of the things that I love about the two parks here is that between the two of them, you can really fill a good chunk of American history. You can get the Civil War in there, mid 19th century, all the way through to World War II.
Don't forget World War I.
No, well, that's through World War II.
Yeah,
It comes before World War II.
It does.
Jason.
Okay,
come on now.
But call it out too.
Yeah, no,
call it out.
Well, exactly, and it's all there. And now I haven't been coming here since forever because I'm only a certain age, but since the 90s, I don't really remember seeing a ton about World War I and the use of the park during that time, or World War II and the use of the park during that time, or Eisenhower living here. I knew the Eisenhower farm was here, but like all the other things that this land was used for besides a battlefield.
Right.
It's fascinating, and they're all teaching tools. Yeah. And I would imagine that the challenge that the Park Service has, and this is going to be a decades-long process if this is what they're doing, is the challenge is going to be, how do we make it so that this can be not just, we always call it an outdoor classroom, which it is, but almost an outdoor history university. Like you can cover so many things here on the same patch of ground. Mm-hmm. It's such a unique place. And I just think that's what's so great about it is, you're like, well, what does World War II have to do with Gettysburg? It's I'll tell you, and then it's so, yeah, that's what I always tell everybody. You got to come here. You don't just come here once a year. You come here once a quarter, because there's always something to do. And there's always something to see. And, people who do enjoy visiting here and they love the battlefield and its beauty and all that other stuff, like you need to see it in the winter. As ugly as winter is, the battlefield is still pretty.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I can't think of a more beautiful place
to
than
die.
The battlefield after a fresh snow.
I agree with you.
How about that?
Yeah, as much as I hate winter, just like Matt does, I definitely agree with you.
Yeah.
A fresh snowfall is gorgeous.
It is absolutely, or a nice heavy fog.
Like today.
Today
was awesome.
That would take a close second.
I totally agree with you on that. There's an eeriness to that. Mm-hmm. Like today, I drove around and it was, you couldn't see McPherson's Woods when I got on Reynolds Avenue. and then all of a sudden it starts to appear. I love that stuff. Yeah. There's just, it's such a great place to live. It's a great place to visit. I would recommend for those of you who would like to live here, don't. It's full, but it's a great place to visit, and it's a great place to have maybe a house down in Maryland. We're not far from Maryland.
No, it's an easy commute.
Yeah, they don't care. They'll build on anything down there. But we don't need more neighborhoods here. The Marylanders.
The Marylanders.
God love you all. I love you guys. Okay. I think that's it, unless there's anything else you want to add.
I think we're probably good, and no questions? No other questions on
let's see here.
From the live audience?
All right, Matt, can you ask Jason what he's... Oh, I already asked that one about most proud of. The lectures are always good value, especially with Matt filming. Thank you, Grant. That's very kind of you. Jason is good on the show. Read that one. Okay, agree there. The Mike's having a separate conversation with people in there, so I can't tell. Did you guys see any good questions in there?
No, that was pretty much it.
Grant was the only one.
Who? Grant?
Yeah, that was the only one that was in there.
Okay. All right. Okay. That's fine. Somebody did say that Steve Kaya says that, I guess we're talking about the guide exam here. He says, sounds like a project management exam called the PMP. I have been a lifelong project manager, and 2/3 of the questions, will never, a PM will never encounter. I was as frustrated as you were afterwards. Yeah, but I feel like you still have to, you got to have that foundational knowledge, and I feel like that's what they were going for there.
I think a lot of that stuff that's kind of maybe on the fringes, that if you're looking at the bullseye, you think that's what I need to know.
Right.
That's the Battle of Gettysburg. This is the things that are associated with that, either, little here, a little there, a little here, a little there. But it's all of that stuff on that outer ring that you have to know in order to reference it.
Right.
Because it then leads immediately right into the battle or the battlefield. Those are two different things.
And guides do get asked about the battlefield a lot.
Absolutely, they do. And so that's where you kind of get into that question that you mentioned about the relic hunting. That's important because that's part of the battlefield story.
Yeah.
So you may never need to know it. You may never need to reference it. But if you don't have that background, you may not be able to answer questions outside of, well, yeah, relic hunting is bad.
Honestly, that's mostly what people want to know.
But why is it bad? Why is it that under the circumstances, if somebody just happens upon a dropped mini ball somewhere out on the battlefield, you pick it up, put it in your pocket, and take it home? Why is that so bad?
Right.
It's not just bad. It's a piece of the story of Gettysburg that's now gone.
Right.
If you think of the Battle of Gettysburg as one of those big 1,000 piece puzzles, you just took a piece of the puzzle home with you.
What year was that law written? Was that the 70s? Sometime in the 70s? The relic hunting law? Do you remember? Do you know?
No.
Anybody? See, nobody knows. What the hell was that on the test for? So, my point, though, my point in asking that is because
didn't we just answer that?
Yeah, you did. I was just messing around.
All right, good.
So the reason I ask it though is because I know people who grew up here and they're older and they lived here prior to that being the law.
Okay.
And they're like, we used to go out there all the time, find stuff, and and what?
It was made illegal in 1979.
79.
So that's why it's really recent.
That is recent.
I was going to say 78, yeah.
Big picture, that is recent.
It is very recent, right? So for all that time since the battle, first farmers are unearthing stuff and that's going wherever. And then people are going and just purposely looking for things. You can't allow that. You just can't allow it, right? Just think of like all the gopher holes that are around here when you're walking around. You're going to twist your ankle in a hole that somebody left because they didn't cover it up after they dug up a bullet. So, yeah, it's a good thing that you can't do that. And that's what I wanted to say about that. All right. Well, listen, Jason, Merry Christmas to you.
Yeah.
And yours. I'm assuming you celebrate Christmas.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Merry Christmas to you. Thank you for doing this all year, and I look forward to doing it again in 2025.
Yes. And then Happy New Year.
Right. Happy
Because
New Year.
That's where we'll be. We'll be in January the next time.
Yep. Thank you for coming to the Christmas party on Saturday. Did you get my invitation?
I did.
Not even regrets.
I was working that day
Not at that night. You probably needed a drink like the rest of us.
at home. At home.
I invited all the people who've been guests on the show this year, and I wasn't sure when inviting Park Service people if you're even allowed to accept an invitation to a party. I don't know, because I know you can't. Like, I can't give you a bottle of water right now because then it's like some kind of gift or something. Yeah. So I'm not sure if you're even allowed to go. But I felt like I had to invite you because I appreciate you coming on, and I wouldn't have a show if it weren't for you and all the other guests that come on here. So I thank you very much for doing it.
I appreciate the thought.
Well,
but yes, there are any number of different things that would have.
I figured that, but just so you and all the other Park Service people I invited know, next year you're going to get an invitation just as much as you did this year.
Fantastic.
It's just a gesture of appreciation, okay?
And we love that.
All right, great. And I love everybody that's watching us right now, and Debbie and Mike in the back for helping out there. And stick around because we're going to try to do another live stream where Debbie Jones, 6 Questions Lens, and Jamie Umstead and I talk about the guide exam and how it traumatized us so much. And of course you want to know because these 3 are national stars now because of the Wall Street Journal. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for your time, and we will talk to you next time.
Hey, Matt.